Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce. We're recording today from the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay Arena Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I am Marty Woodward from Rescued Wood Rehab, and I am joined by my co-host Brad Marshall from Greater Culture CrossFit here in Fuquay Arena. Brad, how the heck are you?
Doing well, Marty. Doing well. 2026 is here. How are you doing so far?
I'm doing good. We're making it through the cold season. So if my voice is a little extra, it's influenced by everybody else who got sick around me.
It is that season, and we're super excited though because we have a fantastic guest for today. We've got Dr. Kristen Wynns from Wynns Family Psychology. So, Dr. Kristen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for pronouncing the last name correctly.
Is it good? All right.
Yeah. A lot of people leave off the S and just say win, so you nailed it.
Wins.
Yes.
Yeah, multiple wins, right? So we're really excited to learn a little bit more about what you do here in Fuquay Arena, how you help the community. So tell us a little bit about Wynns Family Psychology.
Sure. So we have been around for 18 years, which is crazy to me. And as far as our Fuquay presence, that's been more recent. We're actually coming up on our first year anniversary in our Fuquay location. So when I'm talking about my practice, I say Fuquay is my baby because we started in Cary in 2007 and then along the way picked up a North Raleigh location, Greensboro location, and then Fuquay, my precious baby, opened up in February of 2025. And that was especially exciting to me. I love all my offices, but I went to high school in this area at Harnett Central High School, go Trojans, and we bought our first house in Fuquay after internship where we raised our little ones. So this area really means a lot to me. So it felt especially special to bring my practice to this area. And I'd also kind of heard through the years, especially when we were living in this area, that there wasn't really a top-notch child and adolescent psychology practice in the area, that people would drive to Cary or Raleigh or further to try to get really good help. So that also felt really neat to give a gift of high quality mental health services to this area.
Yeah, fantastic. And we were talking a little bit before we hopped on the air here of how long you've been practicing and coming up on 25 years, which is super exciting.
Yes.
And in the field of psychology, there's so many different routes you can go. I'm curious, what led you to get interested in family psychology, and that's where you wanted to spend your time and career?
Right. I have always loved kids and teens. So even my jobs as a young person were centered around kids, where I was the camp counselor, or did we count a lifeguard? Maybe. That was mostly watching children, babysitter. So I always just loved kids. And then I think I'm a little rare that you hear a lot of people change their major however many times, change their career however many times. But after I took my first psychology class in high school, I knew I wanted to become a psychologist, and I really never looked back. So I had that combination of enjoying the field of psychology, liking the idea of being a psychologist and helping kids and teens, that just crystallized for me. So that was my path. And I really only took off 1 year in between college and grad school. So I just kind of kept moving forward with that focus. And then in graduate school, I had a specialization of children and adolescents in the big picture of clinical psychology. And that's kind of what I've stayed focused on through the years, and been fortunate now, 18 years in, I couldn't see nearly as many people without a team. So I started off in a cute little part-time office, actually in Durham, with somebody else's furniture where I would work part-time. But then as I got busier and busier, and really fortunate that we've always had good referrals, I knew I had to hire someone if I wanted to keep reaching as many families as I desired. So I would hire my first psychologist. That went well. Then I would hire another one. So now I have an amazing team. I think we're sitting at around 22 providers. So it's a mix now of therapist and psychologist, so that we can offer all the therapy, all the testing, all the parent coaching, all the services we want to, because I really have big dreams and I would love to help as many people as possible. And I'm slowly trying to take over the state with my locations. Then it's going to be East Coast. And then I have put out there a dream to have a location in Hawaii one day, because they really need good child psychologists,
Yeah.
I've heard. We'll see what I can do to build up an empire of helping people, just one location at a time.
Not a bad place to go visit to check on the staff, make
what
sure
I'm
they're
saying.
keeping the standards high and things are
darn,
going well
I
out there.
have to visit the Hawaii office again. They're
Yeah.
struggling. Okay, let's book another flight.
Oh. I think the field of psychology is always interesting because there's a lot of different ways you can go and get applied, and there's always the saying of like, oh, I'm going to go into private practice and hang my shingle somewhere. So that was a lot of years ago for
Right.
you. Talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the challenges of starting your own private practice and what that looked like growing from a sole provider to now having multiple locations and overseeing 20 plus providers.
Sure. The origin story, actually, of Wynns Family Psychology, I like to share. It sounds kind of weird because it's a failure story, and I love to preach about and talk about how failures are oftentimes that next opportunity where the door is opening that you never expected. So my practice was actually founded out of an unexpected disappointment where I'd been working at another group practice. I was a very young mom. I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. We had just bought our first family car, brand new RAV4. I loved being able to work for someone else part-time so I could just come home to my little ones. And then after 4 years of working for her, she unexpectedly didn't renew my contract. In the private practice world, oftentimes you're an independent contractor just working for someone. So I thought I was doing great. Things were going well from my perspective, but she had other ideas. So I was super disappointed, sad, mad, had a few days to wallow in those feelings and feel a little sorry for myself. But then I just thought, well, I'm just going to try to do my own thing, see how that goes. I had some loyal clients that said they would follow me wherever. So 3 weeks after being let go of that other practice, I put up the shingle for Wynns Family Psychology and really never looked back. So the con with that is no business experience whatsoever. Never took a business class. Back then, I don't think there were business podcasts. I never read a book. So I opened the practice on a hope and a prayer. I knew a little bit about it from working for someone else, but my husband has been invaluable for doing a lot of the back end stuff for the practice, where he is a graphic designer. So he helped me put together my first website. He helped me figure out billing and that kind of thing, which I like to make the money, but then I don't like to do anything else with it. We just kind of figured it out, and through the early years, we did all the things. I was answering the phone, so I was the scheduler and the admin and the psychologist and the biller, and we would keep the place cleaned, and you just learn bit by bit, trial by fire, what works and what doesn't. But it was definitely challenging to kind of jump into something head first. By the way, 2007 was a recession, so also not recommended to start a new business at that time. But, you know, we had the dream, I had the passion, and we just figured it out step by step through the years. And still, to this day, I learn something new every week about business, like about leadership, about being a boss, about private practice. So I do think that's important to always just keep that mindset that you don't know everything and there are ways to tweak things. But I'm fortunate that we're still here.
Yeah, nothing like going from wearing one hat to wearing every single hat
That's
potential
right.
under the sun for a business.
That's right.
And so along the way, you've learned a lot of lessons, I'm sure. What are some of the unique aspects you'd say to your business, and maybe some things that you've done over the years or in corporate or where you're at now that you'd say, hey, this makes us maybe a little bit different or unique perhaps to others?
Sure. I think we're out of network for insurance, which a lot of people think is a bold, brave move that I decided from the beginning that we weren't going to be in network, because I wanted to focus my time and attention on client care. And if you're on a bunch of panels and you have to jump through hoops to do things the way insurance companies want you to, and you're on the phone with them constantly, I just knew I wanted to have a focus on giving the absolute highest quality experience for clients and pouring all of my time and energy into that. So that was risky because you have to have that hurdle of clients being okay with out of network, paying up front. They submit on their own. They do get reimbursed, but it's still, most of them do. They'll file for out of network. But it's still, that was kind of risky to make that decision and know we might lose people every day. But I knew I wanted to still have that focus. And now I'm trying to remember why I started saying that. You asked.
Yeah, but just unique aspects to your business,
yeah,
or perhaps differentiators. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say that makes this unique in some ways, the fee for service model. But I also think because from the beginning I knew I wanted to specialize in kids and teens. And I did feel some pressure. Maybe I should just be a generalist, because if I had a practice that saw everybody, we could get busier faster and make more money. But I knew I needed to be true to my passion, which is young people. And so I remember even being very thoughtful about the name of the practice, that I wanted it to capture that we're there for the family. So our focus is little kids age 2 through college age, and then of course the parents that come along with the kiddos. And now we do have adults that come in for services, which is cool. Eventually through the years we would have adults call up and say, hey, your website looks like you all specialize in kids, but would you see me? So now we definitely have adults come in, especially for testing services, because it's hard to find a good place for testing for adults. But I do think that sets us apart, that I just wanted to be true to my passion and hire people that had that passion, even knowing that might be slower sometimes with building up if someone has to have in-network or they're looking for a more generalist practice. But I think that that's been a good decision in hindsight, to try to have I call it now a specialty child adolescent practice, because it really is focused on something different. And we get that feedback all the time, that our reports look different from the competition, that they're comprehensive and digestible for parents. And other schools, pediatricians will say our reports stand out because we wanted to have that focused on just the highest quality, everything we do.
That's
So
awesome.
you mentioned some of the services that you offer, and you kind of touched on that a little bit. But can you kind of go down the list in terms of someone's looking for support and guidance? What kind of services do you offer at the practice?
Right. So therapy, not everybody even understands what therapy is. Sometimes people think you have to be in a crisis to come in for therapy. And I just had a conversation yesterday with someone where we were talking about how I love it when clients come in and they're proactively just trying to get something in place for their child or teen, or for themselves as parents, to just get support. Because I'm a big believer we all could use someone outside of our best friend and our spouse to talk to, that will just give you support and objective advice. So therapy is something we offer for, again, little ones, even 3-year-olds. We can do play therapy through young adults. So for little ones, it looks a little different, where we have the toys out and the art supplies and we're on the floor with them playing. But therapy is really where we're trying to help with an issue. So we do therapy for anxiety, depression, behavior problems, autism, ADHD, family issues, couples counseling, parent coaching. Again, a lot of parents sometimes feel overwhelmed and stressed that they don't know what they're doing and why is it so hard. And I like to say, as a mom myself, my kids are now 22 and 20. My baby just turned 20 this week, so I'm still reeling from that. But as a mom, I often joke, but it's true. I'm a wonderful child psychologist. I can help you with your kid, anybody. But as a mom myself, I would often think, why is this so hard? So parenting is no joke. Neither is marriage. I've been married for 27 years. Those are the 2 hardest things on the planet. So, I appreciate that as a parent, sometimes you just need extra help, like how to discipline, how to get the kids to listen. And side note, we should talk about my book, because somewhere along the way I wrote a parenting book, the No Wimpy Parenting Handbook, to also be a resource for parents. But yeah, therapy is a huge part of what we do. Testing, huge part. And again, some people hear testing and they don't know what we're talking about. Sometimes people call it evaluations, but if you're trying to figure out what is going on with your child or teen or yourself, we offer full evaluations to diagnose or rule out, because I think testing is just as helpful to say what is not going on. But we will test for ADHD, autism, learning disabilities, giftedness. If people want to figure out, is my child so bright they need extra stimulation in school? And then just full psychological batteries if you're trying to figure out, is there something emotional going on? And we have those testing packages where it's kind of nicely, you get all of this for a price for all of those things. So those are the two big things we do. And then we have a branch of forensic services where we specialize in high conflict divorce custody matters. That was always my focus in grad school, and I wanted to bring that into my clinical practice. So even though most of my colleagues at other practices run fast from anything related to court because it's scary and they don't want to deal with the messiness, I have a heart for that. I think someone needs to be there for the kids when parents are divorcing and might lose sight of the kids. So we have a whole branch of services that's around that, where we will provide therapy if there's a rift between a parent and child because of a divorce. Reunification therapy, we do a lot of that. Co-parenting, if there are two divorced parents but they still need therapy to learn how to communicate and get along at least enough to raise their kids together separately. So that's another branch of the practice, is anything related to court involved or even just the custody divorce realm. And then groups, we are offering social skills camps this summer. So it's sort of taken a traditional group format where you might come in once a week for 8 weeks, and we're squishing it into 1 week increments. So we have a little ones social skills camp, elementary, middle school, and teenage. So if kids are struggling with social skills and how to make friends or keep friends or communicate, deal with conflict, then we have a whole lineup of summer camps for social skills that we're having this summer.
I love all this. That's a fairly new approach, and social skills. What has been your experience? Obviously, we went through some changes in society with the COVID and all that kind of stuff. What has been your experience with kind of some of those social skill changes that we've seen out in our society?
It's so true. In the COVID era, post-COVID especially, then we started to see even kids that didn't have a developmental reason for social skills deficits were struggling because they had been holed up at home on too many screens and not having the proper social interactions, especially for our little ones that were coming up in those formative toddler preschool years, and they were missing out on that socialization. So that's what's cool about our social skills camps or groups that we've had historically, is it doesn't really matter. We can have children in one camp or group where this one is in it because they're shy, this one is in it because they're anxious, this child is in it because they're on the autism spectrum, this one is in it because they have anger issues. And we can still have our curriculum help all of those kids at once. And in fact, we find that's helpful, that maybe the one with behavior problems is really confident, though, and great at assertiveness. So they can be a great role model for the shy one who might be timid to join the group. And maybe the shy one can help with empathy or, proper personal space. So we like to have a mix of reasons why kids might need social skills help. And then with our very small ratio of kids to leader, we can still have it customized where everybody's going to come out of it having learned something and hopefully doing better with their peers.
That's fantastic. And I want to come on back to the book.
Yes.
So, and tell us what the title of the book is.
It's the No Wimpy Parenting Handbook.
No Wimpy Parenting Handbook. So
yes.
This has my curiosity. Tell us about your book.
Yes, so I wrote that in the throes of what I was describing to y'all at the time. So it came out in 2017. So I still had like that elementary age kids in my house. I would, at the time, I was also seeing parents every week coming into my office, and they would be sometimes in tears about how frustrated they were. They would admit, hesitantly that they didn't even like their kids anymore. They felt overwhelmed, stressed out. They couldn't get kids to listen. They had to ask the child to do something 10 times. They would give a punishment, but then the punishment or the consequence would be so painful, they would give up on it. And at the time, having young kids myself, I would see it too. I would experience it with my own kids, or I would be in the dance class or the soccer practice and see the parent over here giving the empty threats. Hey, if you don't put those shoes on, then we're going to leave. Do you want to leave? Because we'll leave. And then they never leave. The kid is still getting their way. Then you see the kid running around barefoot, and you're like, oh, okay. So I just realized there's a need for something easy peasy. My book, I should have brought one to show y'all. It's a cute little, easy to read in a few hours, not rocket science, but I just wanted to empower parents with easy tips for how to give a command one time and have the child comply, how to have a consequence that you follow through, how to discipline without anger. And I preach and teach about how when you lose your temper as a parent, you're giving all of your power to the kid. And that is a very reinforcing pattern where the kid is like, oh, cool, I got mom to blow up. Let me do that again. So it's just easy nuggets that are just meant to, again, kind of go outside of the walls of my practice. I can only do so much one-on-one with a parent, but my book that you can find on Amazon for only $10, that can help the whole world, the whole country who might be struggling. So I just wanted something that would be a complimentary resource to our clients where they can buy it and that'll go along their parent coaching they're doing with us, or just be a standalone for any parent struggling and just hopefully get easy to implement strategies in just a few hours of a read.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating to see not only the growth, but how many people you help, the ways in which you help them, and how things have evolved and changed over time, and being able to reach as many people as possible. And so I imagine starting from a single practice, now having multiple locations, there's probably some lessons you've learned about the business side. What are some of those lessons that you'd say you've learned running a business outside of the practice and helping the kids and the teens and things like that?
So many come to mind. So many. I would say two things just with where I am at this stage in my career. Two things, and it somewhat relates to the book. I think we should always be innovating as business owners. So with my own path, I'm always looking for ways outside of the traditional business. I can be following my passions, but also income streams. So through the years, I don't know if we'll have a chance to get into this, but a few years ago, I became a stand-up comedian. Following my own.
This continues.
Yeah, that took a
this
way
is taking
right
so many
turn.
different turns. We might need a whole separate podcast just for that.
I'll be your first guest, and you're like, she's so fascinating. We need a round two. But yeah, if we have time, we can talk more about that. But I became a stand-up comedian, which might sound on paper very different from a child psychologist, but it's actually not. It was my own self-care post-COVID to do something different. And as I've done it for 3 years now, it's been really cool to see that that is all a part of my highest calling as a human, why I'm on the planet, to help people feel better. So whether I'm in an office with a client or on a stage delivering a great comedy set that has people laughing, it's all about wanting my life to help people feel better. So interestingly, though, that has led to income streams for my practice, because the overlap in the last year or two became super cool, where now I'm doing all of this paid speaking on the healing power of humor and laughter. So I did my first keynote in December at a conference where I spoke on the healing power of humor and laughter and how it helps us live longer, helps our workplace culture, helps our mental health, helps our physical health. So now that is, I think I had 9 paid speaking opportunities in the last year, with this really cool hybrid of a psychologist turned comedian. So I'm all about, like, how can we keep innovating and have other things coming into the practice? And I have a ladies retreat coming up next weekend, my first one, where it's, again, I'm offering it as psychologist, comedian, writer, having other like-minded women that just want to level up their career, level up their business, bring in more creativity. I have 9 women who are coming to the lake with me next weekend, where I'm going to be doing breakout sessions, teaching them some free time. So I just think that's important as a business owner, to just keep thinking outside of the box. How can we do things differently? And also, quite frankly, keep things exciting and fun, just not get ever stagnant. So that's a huge, huge lesson. And the humor piece that I talked about is another lesson, where being a business owner is incredibly stressful, super, super hard. And sometimes if you have an upset client or a staff member that's not behaving or whatever, it can feel really morale crushing. So I do practice what I preach. And through the years, I think other business advice would just be to find ways to pivot and still bring in the humor, find a way to let off some steam and laugh. We've had a crazy couple weeks with hiring for new positions, but we also had just antics and silly, unexpected things with double bookings and other things. And it was stressful, but we also found ourselves just laughing and saying, I cannot believe this. What in the world? So I do encourage people. Sometimes in life, we all know there's a tragedy or trauma. We have to just be in the feelings and cry and own that grief. But other times you can choose to be irritated, stressed, mad, or pivot and find another perspective that's a more positive one, or find the humor in it. And that's another thing I think has helped me keep my sanity running the business for as long as I have.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, business owners, of how do we continue to innovate? How do you bring excitement and joy to the day, whatever that can look like? And sometimes it might be unique and different and things that are unexpected, which is fantastic. You mentioned a variety of things coming up, and I know you before we jumped on here, we're excited about some upcoming projects and events and things like that. So I want to give you a chance to highlight some of those upcoming projects and events that you want listeners to find out about.
Yes, we strongly believe in giving back to our community. So through the years, I've done a zillion parent talks and presentations and webinars, and we volunteer as a team to go out in the community. We did a Habitat for Humanity event that was really cool. Food bank. So we believe in giving back and also making donations to causes that are important to us, like Safe Child for child abuse. But we're coming up on our 9th annual kindergarten fair, which is something we started just on a whim that seemed like a great idea a few years ago. And it is a huge way we give back to our community. It's an all-free event where any parent that has a little one that's around kindergarten age can come in for a free screening, and it's with a psychologist. It's often with myself or with the other psychologist that runs the practice with me clinically. So it's like very experienced child psychologist to get your little one in front of. And it's just a way, if parents are wondering if they should do early entry, if their child has missed that cutoff for August 30th to enter kindergarten, there's a whole process in North Carolina that you have to test for that. So we can help determine, yes, is that a good idea to go ahead and try to get them in early? Or a parent might be considering holding their child back. Let me give them another year in preschool, and we can help figure that out. Or if they just want to know, hey, our kindergarten fair is in March, so 6 months before kindergarten would start. If they just want to know what are weak spots, okay, we need to work on some more numbers or shapes or whatever. So it's just a chance to get kiddos in. It's really fun. The kids love it. We do offer it virtually and in person. So we've had people log on from the beach or far away, where we can still do it virtually, believe it or not, with a wiggly little 4-year-old. It's actually adorable to see the little one at the table. We're like, hi, you ready to play some games? So, but our Fuquay location is one of the physical locations. So we'll be housing the in-person screenings in Cary and in Fuquay. So for anybody interested, we're going to be sharing all of that information on our website and in our Facebook page imminently. It's going to be March 27th. But for anybody who wants to sign up and register, hopefully by the time this podcast airs, we'll have that information. And I know I can give you all the contact information later. So kindergarten fair. And then we're super, super blessed. For the second year in a row, we got a grant that allows us to provide financial assistance for families that couldn't otherwise afford services with us. We've partnered with the PD3 Foundation, which is a super cool local organization that it is focused on mental health awareness and suicide prevention. They founded it, sadly, after their college-age son took his own life, but they were looking for a private practice to partner with and provide a fund, a practice that had a similar mindset. So we were so thrilled they chose us to give this fund where, of course, we're all about mental health awareness, suicide prevention. So now we have that ability to see even more clients and have even more easy access to mental health services with that fund. So just wanted to mention that too. And then we talked about summer camps, but summer camps are coming, and we would love to have anybody interested in that check out our 4 different weeks that we have with the different age groups for that.
You've got all kinds of things going on. That's tremendous. What do you do? What's your favorite local spot here in the Fuquay area?
Ooh, okay. A few. So there's going to be a theme to my answer. I love Cellar 55, and I love Wine Thief. I know that's technically in Lillington, but those are 2 spots like that have events, but also wonderful drinks. And then I do regular classes at Bradley's Yoga, which is somewhere around here. So she has great yoga classes and the HIIT classes. I'm going to try an aerial one this weekend. I think where you're holding on to the silk things and flying around.
I've done the aerial yoga over there. It's
No,
actually,
you have not.
yeah, I have. It's incredibly relaxing.
Oh my
It just takes all the
gosh.
pressure off your joints. You just get to hang out and relax. But if you're doing a more fitness version, then that might be a little more intense. But
I don't know. It might be
the aerial yoga was great.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
I'm
that
so
over there.
Excited. I love trying anything new if we
Yeah.
haven't figured that out about me already. So yeah, I'm excited.
There's all kinds of surprises here. We're gonna have to have a follow-up to this. So, what's the best piece of business advice that you've ever received?
Okay. I guess, man, I don't know who specifically gave me this, but it's probably, it's come at me from multiple angles. I would say to stay true to my character and my values. Again, business is tough, and I think if anybody's been in business long enough, you eventually encounter negative people that talk badly about you, that say things that aren't true. And especially with some of the specialties I described with high conflict world, you're going to have people unhappy with you. So I have felt myself tugged at times to want to lower my standards and get in the dirt with them. But I do think it's been really important to just remind myself who I am, my character, my values. I'm a Christian, so I want God to be proud of me at the end of the day. So I just keep beating that drum. Don't lower myself. Stay true to who I am. Have my character shine, and hopefully that will be enough to show others who might hear things about me to know that's not her, that's not who she is. So that's probably a big one that isn't actually, anything earth-shattering for how to make more money. But I do think if you're going to have a successful business, it has to honor your values and your character and reflect that. So I would say that's the one thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, and so with that, I know you've got multiple locations, excited about the new one here in Fuquay. So for folks who are interested to connect with you, learn more about the services you offer, what are the best places for our listeners to learn more about your practice?
Okay, website first, full of resources. So WynnsFamilyPsychology.com, WYNNS, WynnsFamilyPsychology.com. We do a ton of resources and tips on our Facebook page. So that would be the second thing. I would encourage everybody to follow Wynns Family Psychology on Facebook. And then those are really the main ones. If anybody is interested in the comedy speaking side of my persona, they can follow me on Instagram. That's Kiki's Comedy Club, KIKIS Comedy Club. That's my secret comedian name that nobody would ever figure out it's the same as Dr. Kristen Wynns. I think think actually now the secret's out. But when I first started, I was like, I'm going to have a different name. And I can just keep everything separate. And then my worlds came crashing together as such as life. But yeah, I am excited about the retreats and the speaking. So if anybody wanted to book me for that or learn more, I do most of the comedy humor stuff on Instagram. So those are probably good places to start. And I would welcome anybody to reach out to me directly. If they go to our website, they'll find my email address. Or I can also say people are free to email me. So if somebody's ever just wondering, should I take that first scary step of seeking help? Because it is intimidating to reach out for help. I'm happy to be a resource. So somebody can email me or DM me and say, hey, I got a kid. I'm worried. What do you think? And I'm happy to say we can help. Or if not, I've been in the community long enough, I can direct them to the proper person. So please have anybody feel free to reach out to me directly too.
Yeah, nothing like having an alter ego, a stage name to a
Right.
different persona that makes the life a lot more fun and interesting.
That's
So the last question we've got, being on the Fuquay Varina Chamber of Commerce podcast here, we're always fascinated to hear what sort of either benefits or what are some of the highlights of being part of a Chamber of Commerce as it relates to your business and supporting and things like that. So what are some of the things that you'd say are the best part about being part of a Chamber of Commerce, specifically here in Fuquay Varina?
It's my first time being a chamber member, believe it or not. So I never joined any of the other ones, but it just made sense for Fuquay, and it has been a delightful experience being a newbie to chamber life. But I quite honestly loved the ribbon cutting. That was so fun. Never had that with any other office. And I just felt so much love from the community. It was really so uplifting to feel like these other businesses and people in the community that supported me. So I love that. I love the different ribbon cuttings and other events the chamber has, just where we can get to know each other and support each other. And that honestly unlocked a door for me with networking. After I joined the chamber, I realized how much I truly love talking to other businesses that aren't even the same thing as me, but you never know when you need a referral for a great carpet person or a roof person or a yoga person. So that has actually opened the door for me to start attending other networking events and networking groups. It's just been so great at this stage of my career to feel like I just have all of this support. It's been very healing, actually, with some of the woes that come along with being a business owner. So I love the support. I love feeling like we're all part of a family doing something really important for the community. So I'm a super fan. And I hope, in case the decision makers are listening, that they would think of me for a powerful, unique speaker for some Fuquay event, right? Wouldn't it be great to have Kiki come and speak at the big annual meeting, whatever that delightful thing was where we had all the yummy, fancy food?
Yeah, that was fantastic. The chamber event at the end of the year, we get to highlight a lot of things.
Is it Dustin? Dustin, are you listening?
Yeah.
We'll make sure he does.
I caught y'all off guard.
No.
one's ever said that.
Oh, that, yeah. I'm pointing at Marty's pointing at me. We're like, what are you, but
It's your turn.
it's my turn, yeah. So, well, Kristen, we want to say thanks so much for being on the podcast. It was super fun to get to know you and your business and learn all the ways that you've continued to grow and make a big impact in, the Wake County area, specifically now growing in Fuquay Varina. So thanks so much for being a guest on the podcast today.
It's been a pleasure. I like to keep you guys on your toes. It was fun.
Yeah, we got thrown today. Thank you, Kiki. And thank you to our listeners. Join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay Varina Chamber of Commerce as we highlight a great local business. From the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab, I am Marty.
And I'm Brad.
And we are
Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay Varina Chamber of Commerce. We're better together podcast.